This meeting of New Gloucester City Council will come to order.
Mayor Cook,
Here.
Councilwoman Grow,
Present.
Councilman Bond,
Here.
Councilman Shammy, Councilwoman Wright,
Here.
Councilman Lindsay,
Here.
and Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Here.
All 7 present.
Invocation will be by Chief Trustee.
Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for your many blessings and many favors. We pray that you be in this meeting, Father. Let thy perfect will be done for our city. Bless our first responders, our troops, and our families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, I need action on the minutes of February the 3rd. So moved.
Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grow,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
and Councilman Shammy. Accepted 7-0.
Do we have any communications?
None tonight, Mayor.
Well, all right, we'll go to Mr. Kitco.
Well, thank you, Mayor, members of council, members of the public. Good evening. We'll start the manager's report tonight with the service department updates. Under Public Works Department, still the same with potholes. Contact the city for repair. I do know we've been out hitting a few. If you do live in the old section of town, we constantly monitor where we're putting the water lines in to try and make sure we do not have any areas that are, too bad while they're doing those repairs. Under the water department, on the OPWC Old High Service Pump Building Upgrade Project, we did put that out for bid, and our bid come back 32% over the engineer's estimate. So I have a call into Columbus and with our rep in Springfield on can I reduce the project a little bit and still keep the heart of the project intact with the OPWC funds that we have. So I'm still waiting on an answer for that. Water main lead service line replacement project, that is going actually very well. We are probably about 4 weeks out from completion of the current part, not considering paving. And then we are in the current design to finish from Church and Jefferson down to Linden, Main and Jefferson to finish off that piece. Then that will hopefully take place in about 5 to 6 weeks. We're trying to speed up the little bit of design we have to do for that. If everything works out with the paving and stuff, because CenterPoint Energy is going to be coming through town and doing some of their mains, so we're not going to do curb width, and I'm working on estimates for full asphalt through the old section. Of course, anytime you do full width paving, you have to do the ADA ramps. So it may not go as fast as just the paving part of it. With that being said, if there is still even a little bit of funds left, we will try to do a little short piece. So we have on Hillcrest by Waterdog, we have an old line that in my early conversations with them would be eligible. We just have to show that we still have enough grant money left over to do that project. I do not have any updates for sewer. Under 2024 road reconstruction and resurfacing projects, or for the 25 on Henry, Orth, Bell Oak off of Orth, Richard Court, the one that comes off Henry, I'm drawing a blank, sorry. And then Smith Street from Washington down to 571. Should have my estimates any day because we're working on ADA ramps with those as well to make sure we can stay within our budget. But right now, it's looking pretty good that we might be able to get a lot of that done. So pricing so far through some other entities that have opened bids for my meeting Friday have been coming in pretty favorable. So keep your fingers crossed when we go up the bid with this project. I do not have an update on the disc golf course. Any additional items? I'm getting ready to start engineering for Carlisle Park Phase 2. The funds, we're just waiting on agreement. I guess the state is just a little behind in getting us those agreements with the county. And then, but he said in the meantime, let's go ahead and get some of the the design work completed. Monroe Meadows and Reserve at Honey Creek, I know I have it on mine, it's also in the agenda, but basically, there are some footers going in, and they'll be, going vertical with some houses. We have a ton of permits. I think we're at 7 or 8 permits in Monroe, and we have about, I think it's 11 to 13 permits for D.R. Horton. I think D.R. Horton is going to build some models and build homes to sell, where I think Monroe is doing a couple models, and they are building to order, at least as of right now. And then that is all I have for my report. I can entertain any questions on it or anything else within the service.
Questions?
All right, thank you. Moving on to Fire and EMS report. Chief, trustee, please.
Council, citizens, for the month of January, New Carlisle Fire Division responded to 113 EMS calls in the city. The division responded to 11 fire-related calls, 13 good intent calls or service calls, and 4 false alarms. We had 4 calls answered by mutual aid by Pike Townships and 7 answered by Bethel Clark due to Medic 52 being on a response. We answered 4 mutual aid calls to Pike Township. We answered 10 mutual aid calls to Bethel Clark, 4 mutual aid calls to Bethel Miami, and 1 mutual aid call to Elizabeth Township. Our total run count for at the time of the report, when the report was made, was 166. At present, as of today, right now, we're at 243. Again, we also, as always, we have our smoke alarm project still going, 3 smoke detectors. It's been a pretty rough 2 months, month and a half for the crews.
Any questions on the fire chief?
All right, thank you, Chief, and I also do like the new emergency network report. It's a lot cleaner and much easier to dissect.
Yeah, we'll change them.
Moving on to fire and, or moving on to the police report. Let me get it pulled up here. There's a lot of order. Bear with me. There we go. For the New Carlisle deputies who are contracted with the sheriff's office, they were dispatched to 254 calls for service during the month of January. Of those calls, there were 56 reports taken, 79 assists, 20 criminal arrests, 5 felony arrests, 7 misdemeanor arrests, 8 warrants, and 52 traffic stops, 36 traffic warnings, 16 moving citations, 952 business checks. There were 6 code enforcement follow-ups, 7 traffic crashes, and 2 parking citations. There was no additional notes, and then the information, the stats behind it. Any questions on the police report?
I guess not.
All right, thank you. And moving on, so under the planning department report, you have your violations and your mayor's court information. Is there any question on mayor's court report for January 29th and your mayor's court report? I may have had the dates backwards. For January 15th and or the 29th.
Any questions?
All right, moving on, thank you. And finally, onto your finance report. Mrs. Harris, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kiko. Council and members of the public, this is for your January financials. The revenue collected was $1,432,719.50. Expenses were $1,420,299.10. Now, the average regular revenue is about $600,000 in those numbers. The other 2 are our annual transfers. They were $410,000, and we got our first grant revenue for the lead program. That was $420,000. So 800 of that 1.4 is big different numbers, but they book as revenue and expenses. Statement of cash, we began the beginning of the year at $9,257,433.12, and at the end of January, we are at $8,216,551.23. and all the bank accounts are reconciled. Moving on to the income tax collection for the month of January, CCA collected $162,464.23. That's 6.4% higher than the month of January in 2024. Mayor's Court for fines and court costs, they collected $3,644 for a year-to-date total for the month of January, and the first part of 2025 at $3,644. The rest of the reports are attached, and I can entertain any questions.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion to accept the finance report and a motion for the mayor's court.
Move to accept finance report.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Councilman Shammy?
Yes.
Accepted 7-0.
Move to accept finance report.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
And Councilman Shammy?
Yes.
Accepted 7-0.
Thank you.
Are there any committee reports? Here, go ahead.
I still got my informational items. Moving on down to B, informational items. I can move this to, it's the firearms carry update. We do have the answers that were requested by Mrs. Grow and other members of council. And then a few members of our employment staff are here and/or had sent an email. So we can either do that after comments and talk about this, or we can talk about it now, and if council would like to have them speak at this time while we're talking about the update.
What's your pleasure?
Speak right now.
Might as well speak now. We're talking about it.
Okay, well, we'll start with on the carry update, and Jake might be able just to assist if need be. So council members can be sued, so if they sue the city and then sue the council member, however, typically that will then be, I just drew a blank, that portion against you personally will probably be dropped because of your qualified immunity as a council member for the city.
Yeah, the city would have to indemnify you, basically provide representation to defend you, and then if for some reason a judgment was granted against you, the city would have to pay it. It wouldn't really be the city, it'd be the city's insurance company. So, but you do have broad immunity, qualified immunity, so you have to engage in like willful and malicious conduct to actually be liable for something. That's just a short answer. There are other examples, but for the most part, just passing like a gun ordinance, that would not make you liable.
And then the second part was cost for his services. So again, most of the cost of services would be through the insurance and the premium costs we have discussed before. There would be limited cost for him, as there may be some items to be reviewed. If there's anything you want to add?
Yeah, like I would be served more than likely with a copy of the complaint if there was a lawsuit filed. And what I would do is immediately contact the insurance company and provide the complaint to them. And then basically just follow up with them to make sure they don't need anything from me. But they're going to do, all the work. They may need some records or something like that. They may ask me to reach out to staff to obtain those records, but for the most part, they do everything.
Anyone have any questions for the law director? With that, I'm going to open it up to the comments from the public. Come up to the podium, name, address, and have at it.
I'm Victoria Fortner, 210 West Madison Street, and I pretty much said a couple meetings ago my say on it. I still stand strong on it, the fact that I do not want that label pulled off of that door. I don't want guns allowed into that office. I don't want the idea that somebody could say, the sticker's gone, it's a free game. And if you give that boundary, and you tell them, no, this is one area that you cannot bring that gun into, I would feel safer. I would feel safer. Granted, it's going to happen if it's going to happen, but at least we would have something that would say it's not right for you to bring your gun in here. And that's how I felt about it. I mean, I read my letter before, so,
Thank you, Victoria.
sure.
I'm Angela Gump, 1203 Westlake Avenue.
Can you come to the podium?
You're hard to hear on the.
Can't hear you, Angela.
1203 Westlake Avenue. I do not feel comfortable with guns being brought into the city building. On an everyday basis, I deal with, the residents that we have. And usually they come into the city building for two reasons. Either they're paying a water bill or they're usually upset about
They turned the water
something.
off because they didn't pay
They're
the water
upset
bill.
about something. And sometimes they're really upset about something. I've had things thrown at me, I've had people reach through the hole. I'm not comfortable with it. I do not think they should be allowed in there. And I understand that a sign's not gonna prevent something like that, but for my own sanity and comfort, I don't think that guns should be allowed in the city building. That's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Can I add a little bit to her?
Don't forget your hat.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget your hat.
Can I add a little bit to hers? She's the first person that they see as they walk in the door. There is no little gap underneath the window. That is a shattered-proof window, not a bulletproof window. She's the first person that they will see. And her face is right there. That scares the hell out of me, that my friend would be gone. And yep, I'm gonna get emotional about it, because I sat there the first 7 years of my job there. And to think what I went through, knowing she goes through that now, that scares me in itself. Sorry.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go next. So, my name's Bob Hope, Water Superintendent. I've been asked from the girls, different department, to come up and speak on their behalf. So, let's start with the girls first. We've seen it in the past, it doesn't happen a lot, but we're out there shutting people off. Okay? They're mad. It's not our responsibility, they didn't do their responsibility. Okay? But they're mad. So they leave our houses and they squeal tires. I generally call Howie, doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally, and say, hey, this guy is pissed off. He's going to the city building right now, and I can hear him the next street down squealing his tires still. Turns the next corner, I can hear it again. You need to get somebody up there to help assist the girls. I think a couple times it's happened. By the time they seen the deputies up there, they settle down. But all we got to do is watch the news every night. It's out there. It happens. Okay, so for the girls up there, I know they don't want it. I get it. I don't think people should be being able to come into the city building where they're at, carrying. So that's just speaking for the girls. That's how I feel for the girls. As far as other people out there in the other departments, we think if they're able to carry in our buildings, and we have a CCW license, we should be able to carry as well. I mean, if you guys are going to allow them to come into our buildings carrying a gun, then we should be able to defend ourselves. Okay? So at that point, nothing against you, Mr. Jeffries, but when that happens, I mean, a lot of us have insurance outside of the city for being able to carry concealed. And we have a true lawyer that is going to defend us as far as the concealed carry weapons license goes. How experienced are you on those? Or, are you guys, where do we stand if something happens and we have to pull our guns, or whatever, too? How are we covered?
You would be covered under the city's insurance policy, as long as you weren't as long as you weren't intentionally doing harm to someone, like something illegal, you would be covered,
Sure.
so.
So I think that's a couple questions. I think a couple people might send you emails today or whatever, as far as the two, they want to know. And then, also too, what's the cost of the insurance for the city? And then obviously, none of us want it to happen. So if it's $25,000 or $30,000 of insurance, I don't think that's a true number. What if this goes on and on for a while? That $25,000 or $30,000, I don't believe that's truly what's going to cost the city to defend us in every case, and that's every case. Obviously, none of us want this to happen. None of us want people carrying guns in there, but obviously if they do, then we want to know that we're protected to be able to carry guns ourselves and protect ourselves and our employees as well. So, and then, just off the wall stuff, let's just say fire department. They're fighting fires or whatever. They're going in there to fight these fires. What happens if somebody draws on them? I can't imagine you guys having to have to carry something to defend yourselves, or, what happens if you're fighting a fire, you're spraying water, somebody comes up behind you and grabs your gun out of your holster or whatever.
You can't carry a live
Mr.
firearm
Hope.
inside of a burning building.
I just think there's a lot more to really look into this, instead of just saying, go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
to answer that question, Mr. Hoke, about the fire department, they are statutorily not allowed to carry. It's embedded in the code.
So they're gonna risk their life every time they go in somewhere.
A firefighter risks his life every time the tone's dropped, speaking from experience.
The girls, every time somebody's gonna carry in a gun into their office, they're risking their life.
This conversation's kind of gotten blowed out of shape, because at the last meeting, I did state, at least I believe I did, and Christine can correct me if I'm wrong, that I could go along with not having them in the city building, leave the sign there. And I'm going to talk on that this evening again.
Okay.
So and it'll probably be under new business if you want to hang around and wait. But the other answer, my thought on a comment you made about you guys carrying, if this would become law, so to speak, and we as a council can carry, that would include you guys. Because according to everybody and their brother, council is also employees. And if these employees can carry, you employees can carry. We would all be, we cannot make a determination as council for something that we can do and you all can't.
Right.
If we can do it, then you all can do it.
But
Whether you-
council, you also understand too, now you're gonna have to pay for everybody else to be trained.
No. If they have a concealed carry, they can carry. If
Okay, so what?
They have to get their own
What about the
license.
girls in there? If they wanna get concealed carry,
Have to
because you're
get their
allowing them to come in
license.
the city building, then you should pay for them to
No,
go to the
I
training.
don't buy on that.
Why not? Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you have concealed carry or?
I do,
You do? Okay.
I do.
All right. Good for
I
you.
believe under
And-
constitutional carry.
And there is constitutional carry.
There is.
However, anybody that's carrying on constitutional carry, in my opinion, and maybe Jake or the deputies can confirm or deny what I'm getting ready to say, under constitutional carry in this state, if you go through a school zone, you better not have that gun loaded. And it better be broken down if you do not have a license. Because the law says you cannot have a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school unless it's your private property. And if you're driving through that school zone, you're in violation of law.
Correct.
So if you happen to get stopped because you're doing 21 mile an hour and they ask you if you have a weapon and you tell them yes, you're going to jail, or they're going to write you a ticket, probably take you to jail and confiscate your gun. So anybody that's carrying under constitutional carry, I would suggest that they get a concealed carry license to alleviate
I
that.
think they should have to.
Well,
What if you don't like guns?
Well,
You don't like guns?
if you don't like guns, you don't have a license, you don't have a gun. It's
So I don't
it's that
have a way
simple.
of protecting myself if somebody walks in
Basically, what
that
he's saying is
door.
you can carry a gun on the side of your
But I don't want a
belt.
gun.
I know.
Well,
But by law, you can. Doesn't mean you're trained, but you can legally in Ohio.
But anybody that carries a gun, and you know this too, Mr. Hoke, anybody that carries a gun, if they're not training with it, they shouldn't have
They
it,
shouldn't have. I agree 100%.
you know.
But
So
how do we
training-
know,
Well, you don't.
collectively in our buildings or whatever, whoever's walking in with a gun is
You
trained or
don't.
not?
You don't.
And that's my point.
I mean, you have people drive by you every day on the road
Sure.
that's carrying a gun, and you don't know their status,
Yep, I agree 100%.
you know?
Anyway.
I carry a firearm. Do I carry it 24/7? Depends. What I'm doing, where I'm headed, what time of day or night it is. If it's at night and I'm going to Dayton or Springfield, I'm having a gun on me with extra magazines, because they get crazy in them two cities. If I'm going up to Tip City,
Well, I should avoid the dark time.
maybe not. Well, yeah, I try to stay home at night, you know. But there's a lot of conversation. And I think what I'm going to say tonight might stop all that
Okay,
conversation.
I'll stick around, listen to it.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Hi, I'm Dave Coleman. I'm Public Works Superintendent and also chapter chair for Union. Everybody that I talk to is not, but that I work with is not happy about it at all. I'm pro Second Amendment by far. I have guns. I had my CCWs, but it collapsed. But with that being said, as a chapter chair, I'm also here to look out for the safety of my union members. And I come in here and I set this council meeting up, and I usually put out the plaque for the sheriff's department. He sits here. I know your guys' concerns. I think Mr. Hoke and his guys that are in the water department are far more at risk than any of you, and they go do their job every day without a gun. They go out and shut people's water off. You just heard Mr. Hoke say that people spill off, the stuff, they shut their water off. I've worked for the city for 23 years, and I've done water shut-offs. I did water shut-offs when we had to knock on doors before we shut them off and let them know we were shutting them off. I've had one guy come out and want a fist fight. Luckily, there was two of us there, and he realized that we were a lot bigger than him. He knew better. But the fact that I think that you feel that you need a gun to carry in here, we have a deputy sitting here. He's well-trained. And if you're that worried about it, buy a metal detector and have somebody stand there at the door and warn people as they come in. And the added expense that's going to cost on our insurance, I think we better spend elsewhere using the taxpayers' dollars as to be able to carry and still put, especially Angela and Bob, well, outside of being in the building, you can't carry, but to have Angela or Victoria or any of the ladies in the office, even if I'm standing in the office, I'm at risk. And just stopping it at the city building, I don't think, what about the water plant? What about 101? What about Mayor's Court? You've got a million different things, and the liability that comes with it for the city, I think the taxpayer dollars could be used better for road repair, sidewalk repair, tree removal, water lines, so on and so forth. We have a deputy here, we pay a nice chunk of change to the county to protect us. And that's all I have to say. Thanks, guys.
If I may, the comment about the court, that is statutorily off limits, that whole entire building is off limits because of the court and the sheriff's office that's there. So the people upstairs, because they're in that building, could not carry. That doesn't mean they couldn't leave it in their car if they want, and I'm not a fan of leaving it in the car myself, but I have,
Me either.
you know,
Never leave mine.
and I usually break it down, you know.
Yeah, but.
I don't even leave one in the pipe when I have to leave it in the car.
I just think even at that, the citizens of New Carlisle are better served spending that money elsewhere on something that every citizen gets something out of, that actually pays tax. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone else?
Am I allowed? Am I allowed to make a comment too?
Sure.
So just backing up the finance department, we have been very excited when we had the improvements done a few years ago with the glass shatterproof. We have a silent alarm. We have a deputy car that sits in the parking lot a lot until he takes the shift. They're in and out a little bit, and that helps. But I just want to support them. None of us want to have that sign down. It gives us a little bit of security. We've had the people that come in and complain that have been threatening, that also we have other residents and they're paying a bill while we have a mad one in the back. And we've had kind of get them out of the way, so we want to protect the residents that come into our office also. So I know that our staff has been collectively the same. Just having that sign helps. We would like to see a little bit of money put in for a drawer, for our cash drawer. That will eliminate the one spot that is not secure, where people can get their hand in. They pay us, they put their water bill through there, and Angela's passing back money, and she's, right there. So that is a little bit of comments that we thought we could help tighten up our office. But keeping the sign up just gives us a little bit more security, and a little bit of additional security on the window would be great.
Thank you, Colleen. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just have a question, because a couple of you mentioned the fact that people throw things and reach through there. Do the police get called on those people? And they get arrested, I hope?
Did the ice pick get put in that fist?
Awesome. I had never heard that, and that is just horrifying. Oh, gosh. that
We
is
have
just-
two pictures on the wall that they're not allowed, they've been banned from the building, but
Oh, my.
in case they come in, we have a visual that we watch for.
That's terrible. I did not know that. So,
And
yeah,
it's-
we need to make that a priority to get you guys that safe drawer. Have you seen the one at the 101 building?
That's what we're going to try and look at, but a
Makes
little bit
good
bigger,
sense.
that we can get paperwork in and out, I think.
Very good sense.
But we haven't brought up the cost of it, but that would be something we talked about for security.
Okay. I'm done.
Any idea what that might cost, just ballpark?
The cost for the mayor's clerk, her window and her drawer was about $6,000. We don't need all of that, we just need the drawer.
The
So we
drawer?
need a quote for a slide out like your bank,
Mhm.
your night deposit where you come up, so there's no hand touching. So I would say under that, but I haven't got quotes yet. I want to talk about that.
How soon can you get those quotes?
I could call this week, we can talk about it and then get some in and see if we can get that approved and done. Sound good?
Hopefully you have them by the next meeting.
Okay. I will work hard on that.
Thank you. And hopefully, we'll get that window, or get that drawer in there.
Or, yeah.
I was not aware that people reached through there and grabbed them. My first instinct, if they'd reach through there, grab an ice pick and stick them to the wall and then call the cops.
Go ahead.
Well, just one more thing. Yeah, that attests to the fact that we can handle what we need to handle in that office.
Right.
By you not feeling or hearing anything about it, it's because we deal with it, and we cut it off at the bud, and that's it. And there's no need to tell you guys about it, unless it's drastic. And, sometimes it gets drastic, but Angela does a fantastic job at that window. She knows how to de-escalate people. She's very well-rounded when it comes to handling the customers. Sometimes they just get too much.
So I will say, if you can have those quotes by next meeting, I'll make the motion to buy the door. Or not door, the drawer. Well, I had the D right.
We'll
Had
probably
the
just
D.
do it anyway, because it'll be obviously.
Yeah, it'll be way below Howie's or the manager's authority, so
Thank you.
We'll get it through.
I would think just go ahead and get that done.
That'd be great.
Anything further, Mr. Kitco?
On the firearms, I do not at this point. It's good to move on then?
Go ahead, move
Okay.
on.
Just FYI, we did pass out the nomination forms for Junior Citizen, Employee, and Firefighter of the Year. They were completed and posted. We are starting to get some in, so that's a good thing. I would like to get a motion for May 12th to be the date, it's a Monday in between two council meetings, to be the date for a awards ceremony meeting. So, no official business, I'll have to figure out what I guess the legal thing would be, but just so everybody can be here, have a nice award ceremony, and that would be the night for that. Is council good with that? If so.
I'll move to make May 12th presentation night at what, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
6.
6? I'm good with that.
Any further discussion on that motion? No, we haven't got a motion yet.
You have a motion, I just made it.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I'd just like to know kind of better what we're talking about doing. Are we just doing like a coffee and donut, or just a people come over and?
We are still looking into how elaborate we want to go. That would probably just be a little bit more than coffee and donuts, but not a buffet.
Right.
Yeah, but we would like to make it not black tie affair type thing, but yeah.
A little dressier.
Yeah, a little dressier, and it'll be all about those 3 individuals and nothing else.
And here?
In here.
In here. Okay.
Go ahead, Chief.
Me and Ms. Harris was discussing about the plaques or the awards and that type of thing. And between the two of us, we came up with a kind of neat ideal that if whoever awarded, if we had 3 plaques made for down in the city building where our citizens come in to pay the water bill at that time, where they see everything, at 3 plaques with each year that person's name on a plate for Citizen of the Year, Firefighter of the Year, whatever, and then above those plaque, their headshot, and then each year change it out to that next person.
I like that.
I like that.
That's really nice. Yeah. May 10th works for me.
Do we have a motion and a second, I believe? Chris?
Yes.
May 12th?
Yep.
Oh. What time would it be? Would it be in the evening?
6.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a Monday, right?
Yeah, it
Okay, I
is.
thought we picked a Monday.
I thought you said the 10th.
Yeah, sorry.
And then
yeah,
I was like,
12th.
oh. Yeah, the 12th works. Okay, so a motion to designate May 12th, the award ceremony at 6 o'clock for the winners of the awards. Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Yes.
Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove.
Yes.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
Councilman Shammy.
Yes.
Accepted 7-0.
Thank you, council. Under bond and ballot information, I would like to hold the discussion there later on in the meeting, in the session. If you could, please. I've already given an update on reserve for Honey Creek and Monroe Meadows. Honey Creek TIF update, I did get the first draft of the TIF agreement, so we're double checking a few things. We'll get Jake's eyes on it, but that should be coming to council anytime. So we do have a specialized attorney working on that over in Columbus. City managers hiring. So I emailed those over to council, and I guess that's, council, however you guys want to do this. I know I had brought up or passed out those pamphlets on some ideas on what to do. There's also things to consider on, do you do a couple committees each to narrow it down to your, there's 21. You could narrow it down to your top 10 each, and then narrow it down to your top 5 between 1-2 committees. And then you form a single committee for those 5 and go and do your interviews. It's a thought to where the interview is, not here. It will be someplace in an office setting where you can get to have that conversation, that intimate discussion, and get to know that person. And then another option would be, once that is complete, go to possibly a round 2. I've heard some places do this, some places don't. They'll have their administrators come in after the first interview on maybe then still top 5, is that you're down to 3 now. And we get to give them a couple departmental questions and specifics to where, maybe council, that committee or whatever is listening in to what their answers might be on those. Purely optional, up to council, but those are some ideas. And then obviously it's up to council to move on with Mrs. Stapleton on how you guys want to move forward.
My personal thought would be to divide the members of council. We can meet with 3. If we meet with 4 people, we are basically in an ethics situation. My thought was to take 3 and 3, let you narrow your list down, compare the list of the 10 or 13, how many ever you're going to put on the bottom, talk about the rest of it in a closed meeting with all of council. Is there any objections or any other thoughts? Go ahead again.
I personally just went through and like checked and starred them if I thought they would be a good candidate. And I kind of assumed everybody was doing that. That's what I thought they were doing. So I only have 7 that I would like to interview.
Well, and that's not a problem. If we're going to narrow it down to 7, I have no problem with that because you've already eliminated the majority.
Yeah, kind of.
And I think each one of us have went through and pretty much eliminated a certain amount of these folks. Now, if you want to do it as a group, my thinking is if you've got 5 or 6, 7 of us in a group, you're going to have a lot of different views. Whereas doing it on a 3 and 3 basis, you might get through these a little quicker.
I guess I'm just not in a big hurry. I want to hear what everybody has to say. I don't know. It just doesn't feel appropriate to me to have these 3 people tell me, oh, she was great, I loved her, and I'd be like, well, I didn't even get to talk to her. I guess that's my feeling. I think I want to hear from everybody, not all 21, but the narrowed down number.
That was why I recommended that we do a 3 to 3 basis, narrow it down to like 10.
Without the interviews.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Without the interviews, that's, I think,
Yes.
you were thinking we're going to interview.
I was going to reduce it without an interview, right. Now, I just want
yeah.
to say, let's look at these
That's-
7.
that's how I-
And if he wants to look at 3 one night and 4 the next night, I'm fine with that. That would be fine. But I really, you know me, I don't like to put things off forever and spread things out a long time. I just as soon spend the hour and a half and just do all 7 or whatnot. That's my opinion.
I think we'll find out, like, if just say you 3 over there and us 3 over here come up with, just say 5, you're going to find out that we probably have a lot of people in common if we do our research correctly.
I think that's probably true. So if we each give a list to her and let her combine the list? Do we want to do it?
We
I
just
don't know.
combine it
I
ourselves.
don't know how to do it. I
Mr.
don't
Bond?
know.
I think we can, I think if you guys came up with a list and we came up, I think we can combine them and come to a consensus as far as the top 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever candidates, but I think from the ones that I've looked at, there's a certain number that definitely kind of shuffle their way to the top of the rest of them, so I think it'll be
Yeah.
fairly easy, I think, that
Would
way.
it-
And then figure out what the format we want to use for an interview process. Probably could be discussed at that point in time, too, and
Go ahead, Bill.
If council would like to, we could go into executive session tonight at the end of the meeting and spend an hour and discuss these, because I don't think it would take long. Because like I said, I'm sure everybody has already weeded out some. I know I have a few that I thought I'd like to talk to. So I think we could probably do that tonight. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe next Monday night, we could meet again in executive session, if that would give the clerk enough time to get it posted for a special meeting, and then go straight into executive session for next week, and then finish it up next week and take an hour or whatever, an hour or so, and get down to our core, 3 or 4 people that we want to bring in, or 5 people that we want to bring in and actually have an interview with, and then select from those, is kind of what I was thinking.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't we just do it next Monday, then? We can probably all get it all buttoned up as far as we can. Instead of doing 2.
Yeah, we could do it. I mean, I don't have a problem with doing it next Monday, or whatever council's pleasure is, that, we can have an executive session next Monday at 6 o'clock, and probably be done by 8 o'clock, or 8:30 at the latest, and come down with, and come out of that meeting with, 3 or 4 viable candidates.
Carry on.
I was just gonna suggest if we did it tonight, maybe we could just break up into groups of 3 and see what we all had just for 30 minutes and not a full hour. And I mean, I did all my homework. I looked them up on social media. I know everything about these people. I looked them up.
You're insane.
I spent 3 hours doing it.
I looked up their houses. I know, I'm a weird.
All right,
I know.
let's cut
But
to the chase.
I think we need a strategy, and I think that we need to know how many people we need to cut it down to, even if we go into groups. And my suggestion would be breaking it down to 10, and then going down the 10 together, and eliminating 5, and then inviting 5 people in for an interview. Or we could invite 10 people in for 1 interview, and then call back 5 people, and then you'd call them in for a 3rd interview with 3 people, which is what a lot of corporations typically do.
The only problem if you invite 10, depending upon where they're coming from, I believe that we have to pay for their travel, lodging, meals, etc. That's why I think it would be.
I don't think we
I
have
don't
to
think
do
that's
that.
our responsibility.
Yeah, no, I don't think it
It
would
is?
be a responsibility.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. Well,
thought
I
it
did not
said
know that.
somewhere.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy Toledo.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to get it down to
Who knew?
about 5, because I think in that literature that you sent,
It did say that.
it's in there that we will
We
provide.
would pay for.
Oh, well, I did not know that.
Well, that'll give everybody, if
But
we
yeah,
just do
we
it
can
all
go down to
Monday.
5.
Oh, sorry.
In the ad, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, not the
No,
ad.
I'm just, forgive me. That's what I was saying, so we're all not pressured, we have homework to do until next Monday, and knock it out Monday. That way, we don't have to, if someone's not prepared, because it's a little important.
I have one thing.
So go ahead, Mr. Bond.
One thing, just a method that I've used in the past is, for something like this, is to, if you cut it down to 5 as your top 5, and then a second level of 5, so that if after the first interviews, when you have 5 to interview, if one really doesn't do well and you want to pull somebody up from like a second tier, it makes it kind of easier to plug somebody in if you want to still have 5 to look at. But I think with what we have to look at, I think 5 would be a good target to come up with 5 top tier candidates from that. And it would be a manageable size to interview and interview well and that kind of thing, so.
Go ahead.
Also, too, once you pick your list for interviews, those become public record. So you try to hold it not to be a public record until you're to your interview level. So if you say, we're going to narrow this to 5 for interviews, then that's when the news and everybody else can public record those 5. Just FYI.
So what's council's pleasure? You want to do a Monday night meeting next week?
I think that would probably be better.
Yeah.
Do you need a
Need a
motion on
motion.
that?
Yeah, you'll need a motion too, I think. Are you still looking it up? To double check, I think. Okay.
Is that enough time?
We'll need a motion for a special meeting.
Yeah, motion for a special meeting for an executive session, so you'd have a quick opening,
Yeah.
executive session, do your work, and then,
I'll make the motion for the executive meeting next Monday, I think it was the 24th.
Can you get that posted, Christine?
I can send a legal notice out tonight.
Yeah.
So,
I'll second that.
For executive meeting to discuss
Employment.
employment of a public employee.
Second.
Second.
so motion for a special meeting for executive session to discuss employment of a public employee.
Oh, yeah. She wants like that talk.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
And Councilman Shu? Accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you. And then let me know if this is something that, I mean, like attend, not attend, not really. If you do want any input on anything, just let me know. But as of now, I just won't attend. And then-
I don't know that it's necessary. huh?
Yeah.
Just let me know. Moving on to the next item is business moratorium. I know, real quick, I wanted to double check this, that the topic of a certain type of business was not really, wanted in town. Are you, as council, wanting to move forward with a certain type of smoke shop or anything? And to be it spelled out, to have say a 6-month or a 1-year moratorium on this?
Is someone wanting one?
I think 1 year on it would be sufficient for now. Was we talking about the smoke shop, or was we talking about the,
Marijuana.
yeah, cannabis?
Well, it wasn't that, it was this vape.
Oh, vape?
That was what was brought up before, like.
Okay. I think we probably should add the cannabis business in there too. I don't think we would want that in our city. I mean, whatever council thinks on that.
You want a motion?
So, yeah, I would like a motion on what specific type of businesses, because I can do a couple different ones. Except I've heard vape, this is the new one on the marijuana. And
Vape,
then,
cannabis, and you had mentioned smoke shop. What do you?
Well, it was more just the vape shop, so there's a
Okay.
vape shop and there's a potential, for
Aren't
other.
they normally the same thing a lot of times, a
Yeah.
vape/smoke shop?
Not necessarily, there could be, like, if you want to open up a cigar shop, things like that, which would be something sometimes lumped in, but a lot of times they're not. This would be more where you go in, I think, going into, say, the business or next to IGA, and that's all it is. I mean, and I've never been in there, but that's the whole purpose. Now, if they sell them in the IGA in a little piece in the aisle, I guess that's usually okay. But when it's a dedicated business and there's 3 or 4 of them in the city, I think that was what was a possible issue. So I didn't know if that was something that council wanted to put a moratorium on or not.
Well, I think you want to include the marijuana and the medicinal marijuana. On both those, I don't think you want either one of those shops.
The CBC?
Sorry?
This is CBC, medicinal CBC? Trying to remember.
The smoke shop, I have no problem with as long as they're selling cigarettes and
Cigar?
tobacco.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's when you go into the marijuana and the medicinal marijuana that I think council at that point was what we had talked about.
Yeah, I think we had agreed to include that in moratorium.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was recreational and medicinal.
Yeah.
It was
I think it was, yes.
Medicinal. Kathy, you had
It
something.
was both.
I personally just don't want a lot of little vape shops and smoke shops, and I think we need to limit the amount we can have and maybe even limit the Main Street availability of those. This might not be the place to talk about it, but I don't know where else we would talk about it.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think if you've got one,
It really seems like enough to me, because you can still get them at
if
the
you've got
grocery and
one, I
whatnot.
don't think this city's going to be big enough to enforce, I won't say enforce, to afford a second shop that either one's going to make any money.
Well, I don't think we can do it because we don't think they're going to make money, but I think we could say, our town is small, we don't need more than one vape shop or two vape shops, or we don't need any on Main Street, you know? I mean, personally, I don't really want to see any on Main Street. That's
All
kind
right,
of
let me ask a dumb question.
Go ahead.
And this was brought
I got
up when
dumb
we
answers.
were talking about this before. If we're going to limit how many shops are in town, are we not technically closing ourselves off?
I don't know. I see that as more of a style person. People will get it if they want to get it. They'll go somewhere and get it. We have places here in town that you can get it from. I just don't want to see a little vape shop here, a little vape shop there, a little vape, everybody trying to make a buck. It's just not what I want to see for our town. It's just not what I like the looks of. So maybe it's zoning, maybe, I don't know what it is.
What this is doing is kind of, we're deciding what we want our town to look like. And what we see is how we want it to be presented when families come to town and things like that. And so a lot of these types of businesses are not real popular when people are bringing their kids and wanting to see where they want to have their families and raise them and all that kind of thing. So that's really what this is doing. It is kind of controlling our growth in certain areas, but, you could probably also throw dollar stores in there if you wanted to. I don't know how many more dollar stores we
Seriously,
need, but,
We got two now. How many more do we need?
to be honest, dollar store money doesn't stay in the community. It goes up to the corporate somewhere else, so it,
Mr.
honestly,
Chairman, you got anything?
We can say no more dollar stores.
Yes, no.
I didn't hear what you said, sir.
I asked if Mr. Shammy had anything.
Oh, well, he probably didn't hear you either. He's down there sleeping.
They were blocking my view.
Does it? Have we got a motion on the floor?
So what I have is a motion for a moratorium to limit the number of vape shops, smoke shops, recreational marijuana, and medicinal marijuana.
Well, I think the motion is to put a moratorium on the marijuana, the medicinal marijuana, and, pardon me?
Recreation.
Yeah, recreational, and any more vape shops, because we have one, and you can get the vape stuff at the Marathon, probably at Speedway, Howard, or IGA.
So we're vaping.
So there's plenty of places to get vapes. I really don't think we need any more vapes within the next year, till we see how other things are gonna happen.
So
Yes,
I
sir.
suggest two different motions. One motion for the moratorium on recreational medicinal marijuana, and then another motion for a moratorium on vape shops.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we had actually talked about this, and you guys agreed that you wanted the medical marijuana at that time. Do we remember that, or am I just hallucinating?
That was voted down.
We talked about it, though, and most
We
of...
talked about it, but
Right. Because the medicinal, you have to have a prescription.
Medicinal, you need a prescription,
from
and
a
we
doctor.
kind of agreed that we thought that was okay, but we didn't want the recreational, is what we spoke about at that time. I don't know if we actually did a vote at that
Yeah,
time. I don't remember, sorry.
So what's council think about the medicinal, that you need a prescription for from a doctor? Do you want that in town or not? I guess is the question.
is that something that the drugstore?
No, it would be a
It's
separate shop.
got to be a specific shop.
It has to
Specific
be a
shop.
safe,
It's
safe.
regulated by the state.
Yeah.
You need a prescription to get in. You got to be, I think, 21 to even go walk in the door.
It's like cash only or
Yeah,
something?
cash
too, I think?
only.
They can go online and get a prescription.
From
anybody,
from
yeah,
anywhere,
you can-
yeah.
That's true.
Right.
So we probably should, in my mind, eliminate that one too, because there's places in Springfield you can go, there's places over by Beaver Creek you can get it, that sells the medicinal stuff that you need a prescription for.
Yeah.
I think at this time, revisit in a year and see, maybe the culture will change or something, but
I would be okay with that, just revisit it, do a moratorium for a year. We can always change
Yeah.
that, correct, if we
Yeah,
need or
at
want
the end of the
to.
year, yeah. So do you have that, ma'am? Okay, but it's going to be for medicinal? Says so much, can't pronounce it now. And recreational marijuana,
So a motion for a moratorium for medicinal and recreational marijuana.
right.
For 1 year.
And that's for a moratorium for a year.
Okay, so do you want to vote on that first one? And then we'll vote on the second one. The second one will be for the vape.
Yes.
So,
As long as there's a second on both of them. I know the first one's second, and I don't know about the other one.
I'll second it.
Because the other one hadn't been made yet. Can't have two motions on the floor at once.
right, so so the motion for the first one is Mr. Lindsay.
And Shammy, I think, seconded it.
Okay.
And this is no more vapes?
This is
No,
marijuana.
this is marijuana.
Oh, this is marijuana,
This is the
okay.
marijuana. Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
No.
Mayor Cook.
No.
Councilwoman Grove.
Yes? That's yes to stop it from coming in for a year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan. Yes. Okay, so that was passed.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
motion for a moratorium for 1 year on vape shops.
Okay, Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Yes.
Mayor Cook.
No.
Councilwoman Grove.
Yes.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan.
Yes.
Passed 6-1.
All right. We are still doing well on the code amendments and rewrite. Really no update on the updating legislation. We're still working on the columbarium specs. And that is all I have under the city manager's report.
Awesome job, Mr. Manager.
All right, do you want to go back on to that gun situation? I think you told some of the audience. Bill, you were gonna
That would
ask.
be under new
Do
business.
we have ordinances?
We'll do that before we do the resolutions and the ordinance.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think, otherwise,
Okay.
if we get into the,
Y'all want to go home?
yeah, if we get into the ordinances, resolutions, we're going to go
The,
into executive.
Oh, no, not till after new business, but I just want the employees at the city building to know that I have heard you, okay? I understand your concerns. And I listened to Victoria last time, 2 weeks ago, when we was here. I was watching Colleen also while I was talking. And later on that week, I thought at the next meeting, since this is such a hot topic, that it would not be right or fair, in my opinion, for council to do a motion, make the motion, second it, pass it, and force it. I see heads nodding, so apparently y'all agree with me. So what I am going to do, because it is taxpayers' money, and it is $25,000. Of course, if they have to defend somebody, it's going to go up the next year to whatever the cost of to defend. So at least I think it would be. I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. So with all of that said, I will make a motion to put this on a ballot in November and let the voters vote on it and decide if they want city workers to have weapons on their persons, if they so desire, and also to, through our powers, we can put the city building off limits, so the sign will stay at the city building. But I see no reason why the city workers, and we would have to change some of the regulations and stuff, and council has the power to do that. I see no reason why, if a road crew out there and they want to carry their weapon and their bosses is okay with it, I don't see any reason why they can't do it. although they can't walk in the city building with it, you know, every place else. I mean, how many citizens walked into the hut over here? You know, I think I've been there a couple of times a few years ago. I've been to the water plant and I've been to the sewer plant. That isn't someplace the normal citizen will go, in my opinion. So if the clerk got that motion, and did you get it or not?
So I have a motion to have it added to the ballot in November. One,
Yes, yes.
One, that city workers can have and carry guns, and two, to leave the city building's signs posted.
Exactly.
Are you also including the shelter houses or leaving them open?
If people rent this place and they want to carry their weapons, I don't care.
Go ahead, Mark.
Have we looked into to see how many other municipalities allow this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
There is one in the state of Ohio, and that's the city of Lebanon.
Lebanon does?
Yeah.
There.
Just curious.
That's not a bad idea. I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I think let the people decide, since it's taxpayer money, you know?
Go ahead,
I'll
Kathy.
discuss it just for a second. I don't know, I kind of agree with letting the people decide, because everybody has a right to their own opinion, and this is a very hot topic, and I don't know, I want everybody to feel safe. For me, that's what it's all about. Like I said, when we have a sheriff here, deputy here, I feel safe. So I don't know, but I don't know, I'm curious how much it's going to cost to take it to ballot. Does somebody know that?
Oh, it'll be on the November election.
Does it cost us money
No,
to
it's
put it on ballot?
Ballot.
The cost is just our time to
Prepare it,
get,
yeah.
draw it up, draft it, and then make sure that it's correct with the BOE as we're experiencing.
Oh.
That type of thing. So no, there's no outside cost other than, law director time to research, I mean, any details that we may have to bring up with this.
Okay. And then if we had a trouble with that, if it did pass and people wanted it, could we back that off again if we needed to or wanted to?
Not if it's
Not if
voted
it's
on, no.
voted. We'd have to have another election to turn that off. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just questions I had.
If nothing further,
All right, Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston,
No.
Mayor Cook,
yes.
Councilwoman Grove,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
and Councilman Shammy.
Yes.
Passed 6-1.
All right, if nobody else has got anything more, we'll go to the resolutions. The ordinances, I'm sorry.
Okay. For introduction tonight, one action. Ordinance 2025-06, introduced on 2/3/25. Public hearing and action tonight. An ordinance establishing compensation for the acting clerk of council.
Second.
And an explanation of this ordinance is such, setting the compensation to be $50 for a meeting that Mrs. Berner would be in attendance instead of Mrs. Stapleton.
Anything further?
Okay. Vice Mayor Eggleston,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
Councilman Shammy,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
and Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
7-0. Ordinance 2025-07, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 3/3/25. An ordinance authorizing an agreement for the deposit of public funds with Park National Bank. Ordinance 2025-08, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 3/3/25. An ordinance adopting the boards and commissions handbook for the city of New Carlisle. Ordinance 2025-09, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 3/3/25. An ordinance authorizing an agreement for IT and compliance services. Ordinance 2025-10, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 3/3/25. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with the Ohio Attorney General for the collection of delinquent debt. Sorry.
Mr. Kidco,
Yes.
you got anything else?
No, we're just moving to just other business.
Go ahead.
So, other business, intergovernmental meeting is 3/31/25 at Heritage Hall at 6 PM. Sheriff and council meet and greet is 4/26/25. from 11 to 2 at Bow and Arrow. And then any other open discussion for city-related business?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
if the council has nothing else, hearing nothing, I move to go into executive session to discuss the employment of correction legal matters.
Say litigation instead.
Litigations, okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
All right, Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, move to go back into regular session.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
And Councilman Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I move to have our law director do whatever is necessary to defend against the Board of Elections' decision and to employ extra help if he needs it, paralegal or whatever, at his discretion.
Second.
Does that cover it, Jake?
And then maybe just ratify what's already been filed.
And to ratify any filings he has already done.
Second.
So just to make sure I have it down correctly, motion of the law director to proceed and do what's necessary to defend the city against the Board of Elections' decision, employ additional help at his discretion, and ratify what was already filed.
Yes.
Does it have to specify what it says on there, though? Why we're doing it, or just in general?
No, it's just the about the Board of Elections, their decision.
Then when you say additional help, I mean,
If you get to a point where you think you need, of course, you'd have to consult with the manager before you did it, I think. But if you need to hire a paralegal, if you can find one to do the research quickly, that this ordinance covers that.
Motion.
Like
Or
not-
motion, I mean, thank you.
Like not to exceed
That-
50,000 or something
Well,
like that, or?
But you'd still have to let the manager know what you're doing. You know, you don't have to let us know per se, but you would have to keep the manager informed of process and progress and what you're doing. And then if he so decides to send us something, that's his prerogative to do.
okay.
But I think the motion covers everything it needs to cover, so you can do what you need to do to defend the city.
Call it, Chris.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
And Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan?
Yes.
You need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove?
Yes.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan?
Absolutely.